Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Georgia representative, has a new favorite line, comparing Black Lives Matter to the Ku Klux Klan. The freshman congresswoman, who was booted off of her committees earlier this year for, among other things, backing the execution of prominent Democrats and spreading bigoted, insane conspiracy theories, said in an interview Wednesday that Black Lives Matter has become the most powerful domestic terrorist organization inside the United States. So, this should be fun. This is the David Harris Jr. show.
Call out the hypocrisy that exists all over Congress and the Senate, like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh,
Without
yeah.
further ado, Congresswoman, how
She
are
calls
you
out
today?
hypocrisy.
So glad you could join me.
I'm doing great, David, and I'm really happy to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of the busy swamp-infested liberal just drainage that you're in. It is just one thing after another, and you are in Congress fighting for us.
He has a shirt on that says, "Don't California my Georgia."
Most people, but let me ask you this before we get into some of the crazy things that have happened.
Hey, I'm not going to kink shame people.
Did you have any idea that it was going to be as insane as it is and has been for you once you got into Congress?
You know, a lot of people ask me that question, and, you know, I've never served in politics.
Asking about, like, what's insane in Congress when he's talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Is literally my first experience on the inside of politics. But I brought my normal way of thinking, common sense, regular American approach to this position. And I knew
common
it was going to be
sense.
bad. I expected it to be difficult. I expected the media to be nasty. I expected the swamp to be the swamp, but I will tell you, no, I never expected it to be this level. It's far worse than anyone can imagine.
Well, I so appreciate you throwing your hat in the ring, trying to stand for conservative values, for faith, family, freedom. I mean, that's what you're about, and that's what I believe we need a lot more of in Congress. So this week, the verdict for the George Floyd case against Derek Chauvin.
He's a handsome man. I'll give him that.
Obviously, it was guilty on all counts. But let me ask you this. Do you think that the jurors could have come to any other decision with Joe Biden weighing in, with Maxine Waters weighing in?
I may not agree with their politics, but I would be in that threesome. They're good-looking people.
Into Mad Maxine in a minute, but do you think
Mad Maxine
of what was actually going on in the real world, or do you think that it all played a massive role?
Well, I'm very glad you asked me this question. I tweeted about this last night. I'll go ahead and let you know the response on Twitter from the people that aren't very fond of me is I got called a racist nonstop for, here was my statement. I said that after a year, almost a year of these Antifa, BLM, domestic terrorist riots all over the country where they've burned cities, they've looted businesses, attacked innocent people, even killed people like retired police officer David Dorn. They've attacked federal monuments, federal buildings, taken over police precincts. And then you have a United States Congresswoman show up in town and basically threaten the jury and tell them that she's demanding a guilty verdict.
We watched what she said, demanding a guilty verdict. That is not at all what she said.
The crowd that has been breaking the law, telling them, break curfew, stay in the streets, be more confrontational. And
she said we might have to get more confrontational. That was her.
When all of that is happening and you're a regular person and you got selected, you got picked to serve on this jury, this wasn't something you signed up for.
Everything else was her extrapolation of that.
I tweeted that there was no way that we could see anything but a guilty verdict. Depending, regardless of what was presented during the trial, there was so much pressure there. It was unreal. And then to have the president back her up And then to have
Well, I mean, the only thing we could see was a guilty verdict simply because, he was guilty as fuck. We all watched it on camera. The man committed a murder on camera. There was no question about it. MGT. Oh, MTG.
have the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, back up Maxine Waters. This is mob rule. This is not law. This is not court. This is not.
We should take solace in the
fact
fact that, that's the first person that's commented.
I'm just talking about.
I don't think that many people are watching them.
Has become.
There's been a few hearts.
Powerful domestic terrorist organization inside the United States, and they are fully supported all the way into Congress and into the White House.
Yeah, you're
wow.
Right. That's exactly what I see. It was a win for Black Lives Matter. For all of us Americans that are sitting watching the cities around the country burn over George Floyd. I mean, I remember watching the video. I remember absolutely heartbroken at what I saw. I believe that it was absolutely excessive force. This was obviously before any of the other fentanyl issues.
So stand up for the Constitution, bastard.
Limit or 3 times of what should have killed him. Before all that. And I still think that it was.
That's not true.
And I still think that there should have been repercussions. I do think that he was guilty of causing or helping to aid that. It's my personal opinion, but that out the window with all the.
It's not even an opinion. It's a statement of fact.
Chaos that went on around the country. It absolutely.
Well, how did they just get all kinds of hearts all of a sudden?
Where, like you said,
they've got some sort of bot machine going on.
They were selected. So how in the world could any jury member feel like they could do anything other than vote guilty out of just fear for their family and their lives?
That's right. That's right. It was, it's basically the same tactics that the Ku Klux Klan used to use. They used to go and take to the streets with torches and their uniforms.
Well, I mean, the Klan used to be the judges and the cops and still are. Some of those who work forces are the same that burn crosses.
And remember, the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrat Party is the party of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yep.
The Democrat Party is the party of Jim Crow. And now we see the Democrat Party is now the party of Black
The Dixiecrats, and they left and joined the Republicans.
Black lives, not at all. They care about policies. They care about radical changes within our government. And then Maxine Waters goes out in the street.
None of that was correct. Not a thing she said was based in reality. But hey, accuse the other side of what you're doing. That's what Senator Marsha Blackburn did.
Madam President.
Today on the Senate floor,
into the Biden administration,
accusing Democrats of misleading America.
A pattern in how they're building their policy initiatives, interacting with Congress, and marketing their ideas to the American people. In every example, the governing rule can be boiled down to what you see isn't what you're going to get. So far, this 117th Congress, every single major policy proposal.
For those of you who may be listening to the audio only, she has a sign up that says Biden's boondoggles. It says what you see and lists COVID relief, infrastructure, voting rights. And then her idea of what those are totally not representative of what's actually in the bills.
Have forced into the spotlight has been
they are right-wing talking points.
They have intentionally misled the American people and are now catering to the increasingly radical left wing that gets further out of step with the rest of this country each and every passing year.
I wish!
Consider last month's
we're not out of step.
$9 trillion spending package. The Democrats billed this as, quote, the American Rescue Plan, end quote, and, quote, COVID relief, end quote. But only 9%, 9%
Number 9,
of the total
number
package
9,
price tag
number 9.
went for testing, vaccinations, and healthcare jobs. The rest they used on a massive blue state bailout and blatant redistribution of wealth.
What does that mean?
Same story with this month's $2.25 trillion spending package. They've done their best to pass this off as an infrastructure plan. But even if you add up every single line item that is dedicated to roads, to bridges, to highways, to interstates, to ports, to waterways,
I certainly don't trust any Republicans' math on anything.
a little over 1/3 of that plan will pay for actual infrastructure projects. The rest of that $2.25 trillion is just another slush fund for union activism, climate change auditors, and Green New Deal fantasies. S1, the so-called...
She has not addressed anything.
...have spoken so passionately about, completes the trifecta.
Yeah, because she's moving on to voting rights. That's what S1 is.
Advertised as one thing, but that would accomplish something completely different. Now, S1 isn't as much a taxpayer dollar grab.
This is the senator from Tennessee, by the way.
Unprecedented political power grab.
Freshman senator,
that
I do
offers
believe.
Solutions in search of problems. It ignores.
She rode the Trump
promises
wave.
of federalism. It disregards the constitutional directive affording the states power over their own elections. It requires the use of ballot casting technology and voter registration systems that don't even exist yet. But I think you can bet that some politically connected companies will make a whole bunch of money coming.
She should know about that.
Technology. It would dismantle voter ID laws and prevent local, meaningful cleanup of voter rolls. Your local election commission, they wouldn't be able to purge their rolls of individuals that have died or moved.
They wouldn't be able to purge the rolls of the black people like we want to. That's what she's saying.